What up, y'all?
This is Brittany.
I'm Mandisa.
And I'm Jamal.
And we are your hosts of...
We're your hosts of...
And we're the host of...
Living Millennials.
Living Millennial.
Living Millennials.
A podcast where you'll be hearing three different perspectives and emerging stories from three different millennials on everyday life and trending topics. Hey y'all, welcome to Living Millennial. Thank you again for tuning in. I am Brittany.
I'm Mandisa.
And this is Jamal.
And can I just take a second to celebrate the fact that y'all have the three of us together again? Oop, oop. It's been a while. We haven't been on the same show or on the same episode since like episode 2.
Way back.
I missed you guys.
We miss you too.
You all.
I miss you so
Very
much.
nice to get to dialogue together again.
Yes. This one's going to be really good. First of all, it's going to be good because we have my friend Erica on the show. Hey, Erica.
Hey.
Hey, Queen. But it's also going to be a really great show because we are going to discuss ghosting. And we're discussing ghosting as a tool or a weapon. So I'm really excited about this because y'all know I am the ghosting queen.
I'm excited to learn about this ghosting thing because I have a lot to learn about ghosting.
You know what? I think we all do. But first, I want the audience to get to know Erica so they can be just as obsessed as I am. So Erica, tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do now.
Yeah, my name is Erica Moore. I work at the University of Redlands as the Deputy Title IX Coordinator. For those of you who aren't aware, Title IX is a federal law that protects folks against discrimination, harassment, and sexual misconduct on college campuses, which has been a lot in the news recently, from celebrities to colleges to frat parties to et cetera. My job entails looking into those complaints, protecting the rights of all students, providing training and education to faculty, staff, and students about engaging in consensual relationships and respecting each other's space. What I like to tell students is I do not police sex. I actually love sex. I think sex is an amazing, beautiful thing with consenting folks. I don't think you should have sex with anybody who's not excited to see you naked, and I don't think you should have sex with anybody who can't write. So those are just my opinions.
And you should know when they're excited, y'all. You should know when they're excited now.
Exactly. So that's just a little bit about my work. I have my master's degree from Syracuse University in counseling and student affairs. I have a certification in sexual assault advocacy work in the state of California. And I've been doing this work, I would say I've been working on college campuses for the last 10 years, but I've been doing specifically sexual assault prevention work and trauma response for the last 4.
Awesome. And Erica is probably the one friend whose work and whose job I'm like actually interested to hear about. Actually, no, besides Mandisa, I like to hear about Mandisa's work too.
Because
what?
The work that I do, one of the things that drew my friendship with Brittany is social advocacy and how we think about social issues.
Word.
So on campus, like when we have laws, for example, that regulate what is consent. So you have this, a law to me is the minimum standard of humanness, okay?
Yeah.
What is the actual social contract of dating? What is the actual social contract and understanding of sex? What is the actual social contract of feedback about sex? And so this is where I feel like ghosting becomes a part of my work because I think so much leads to violence. A lack of education is the precedent of it's the beginning of violence because what you don't know you'll repeat. So one of the examples I like to give is like think about The Little Mermaid and you had seen Kiss the Girl. We was kids and we taught this idea of like grab the girl. The girl can't talk. She got no voice.
Right.
She's not consent to this man. She does not know what's going on. She's not from that culture. She don't know what is happening here. You understand? My right? Think
Yeah.
about every song, every Disney movie, every way that we are supposed to think about dating and love and what it's supposed to be like and what it's not that. What do? What tools will we talk of how to manage heartbreak?
Yeah.
What tools will we talk about how to handle feedback? What tools will we give it? No, it's not what's supposed to happen. Right? And so when I think about the work that I do, I don't just respond to rape. Responding to rape is tough. It's the easiest thing to do, right? To collect a paycheck because there will be that. But how are you going to prevent it? How do you create a culture where people think about their actions and their impact on somebody else? It's a holistic approach to think about it, from your dating to your sex education to your class conversation to what is normal. Like, what is normal to treat someone?
Yeah.
And I see ghosting as a tool, so as an expression of a boundary, or
Yeah.
ghosting as a weapon, as a way to let somebody just shame them, or to just avoid conversation with them, or avoid really owning your shit.
You're right.
You did something awkward.
Yeah. And I think
it's about them. Maybe it was your shit that you need to own, but you won't own it. So because it's easier just to hit the block button. The iPhone didn't know what password they gave us when they let us just block folks. Y'all remember the time when you said to call the company? I don't know. That's just I used to call up there and be like, I'll pay my $5.
oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
She's on a roll right now.
Right. Yeah, girl, she's killing it. So even before we get like really deep into ghosting, I want to actually read off some definitions regarding ghosting. Okay. Now, I actually had.
Are there? Read them out.
So here's the thing, right? I know, good question. So here's the thing. I'm on Google and I just, type in ghosting, definitions of ghosting, everything. There's some things I found that were actually pretty comical. Clearly, this person, whoever wrote this definition, was in their feeling, or these definitions were in their feelings. So this one reads, the act of suddenly ceasing all communication with someone the subject is dating, but no longer wishes to date. But that's not the end of it. It keeps going. So this is done in hopes that the ghostee will just get the hint and leave the subject alone, as opposed to the subject simply telling them he or she is no longer interested. Ghosting is not specific to a certain gender and is closely related to the subject's maturity and communication skills. Many attempt to justify ghosting as a way to cease dating the ghostee without hurting their feelings, but in fact proves the subject is thinking more of themselves, as ghosting often creates. It's hilarious, as ghosting often creates more confusion to the ghostee than if the subject suddenly stated how he or she feels.
I'm loving this term ghostee.
I know, right? Ghoster, ghostee, it's coming. It's gonna come. So, okay.
It just got so deep so fast.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, I get where they're going and I get what they're saying. But for me, it's very clear that whoever wrote that, and the majority of that was definitely feeling some type of way. But as we discuss more, I think, they're not wrong. They're not completely wrong. But to mention someone's maturity and communication skills, that's the part I'm like, maybe not.
Here's my biggest question starting this out, if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Is ghosting something that just applies to dating? And is dating today considered boyfriend and girlfriend? Like something exclusive? I just want to know where does ghosting happen, or does it happen on all levels? Because I'm laughing.
I will ghost someone on offer up.
But I feel like
don't respond to somebody's communication, email, text message, etc. You know what I mean? Like that would be a level of ghosting. Now I think it's interesting what you're proposing as a spectrum, right? Like, okay, if we're dating, is it more weaponizing as a tool of like, look, I'm not that interested? I think why? Where has this word even ghosting come from?
Right.
And Brittany and I were actually having a great conversation about this because historically, if we really think back, how do people break up with people? Or how do people say you don't want to be friends? Or how do people tell people that they don't want to hang out with them anymore?
You tell them.
Right.
They would just stop talking to them.
Yeah.
Think about it. Papa was a Rolling Stone. You did what?
My dad did that. Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
but I feel like
Been around
this,
the world.
she's singing
Been around the world, and I can't find my baby.
Okay, that's the thing.
I don't know why.
Why are you going around the world looking for your baby? And why are you looking for all these answers? They didn't care enough. That's why it's funny to me.
We're going to talk later about, our explanations for ghosting and really more about ghosting as a tool when we discuss our own experiences and our own perspectives, because, not all of us really has the same answer. I know I don't have the same answer. And honestly, for me, ain't nobody safe. But it could be different from someone else. You know what I'm saying? What were you going to say, Mandisa?
just going back to I feel like before social media and like having a device in your hands or even having a laptop, something that was mobile that you could communicate with people basically anywhere you were, that in most instances, like you would either write someone a letter or something, or that it would be formally dealt with instead of having this wall of technology, which people tend to hide behind, whether for ghosting purposes or for bullying or for other reasons of just like, I'm done with this, whatever the situation is.
Yeah. And I actually asked a few of my family members. So I asked my mom, my aunts. I was like, in the event that you no longer want to speak to someone, whether it's when you were dating, because everyone in my family's, all the older women in my family are married now. But I was like, when you all were dating, you didn't want to talk to anybody anymore, and you no longer wanted to, be around them or speak to them. If they had a term for that, and they didn't really have a term for it. My mom I am a reflection of my mom. So she was just like, I don't have a term for it. I just wouldn't fuck with them no more. And I was like, okay, it makes sense because I've used that before. And my aunt was like, I just disassociate myself. And then my oldest aunt was just like, yeah, I just don't want to talk to you anymore. But there's a difference, I think, for me. There's a difference with telling someone that you don't want to talk to them anymore, and actually just falling off the face of the planet and legitimately ghosting them. So I'm going to read the plain and simple definition of ghosting that I found. And it was the practice of ending a personal relationship with someone by suddenly and without explanation withdrawing from all communication. Plain and simple. That's it.
Personal relationship.
Personal relationship. Exactly. So that could be either platonic or romantic.
I love this quote that's under it too, though, because this, I feel like, goes back to Jamal's question of like, but is it for someone you're dating or is this like flingy?
Yes. So which one of us has experiences with ghosting someone? Have you been the ghoster? I have. Hand up.
I have, for sure.
You have. Erica?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
Disa?
Here's my thing. After reflecting on, there's no simple answer with me. I had to rethink ghosting in terms of like, okay, is this about dating or whatnot? Because I don't think I've ever ghosted someone who I've like been dating, whether it's casual or serious.
Me either.
That's nice.
But I think I'm like a mini ghost when it comes to other people, whether it's like emails or texts or whatnot. And sometimes it's me just like reading a text and really forgetting to respond until like 2 months later. And I'm like, shit.
Oh, but okay.
Accidental ghosting.
Right. Accidental ghosting.
Yes.
And I've been an accidental ghoster, but in a different way. So the fact that you even considered to go back to that 2 months later.
Right.
Like I personally would not consider that ghosting.
Word.
Ghosting for me.
Me either.
Yeah, so I guess I'll explain now my ghosting as a tool.
Boom.
You will never hear from me ever again. Plain and simple. Whether it's on OfferUp or Let Go, whether it's via social media or text message, call, whatever. And honestly, for me, how I use it as a tool, we can be friends. It could be a platonic relationship. It could be a romantic relationship. If I'm done, I'm done. You'll never hear from me again. Once I make that decision. So that's just me. So I'm going to read off really quickly some more like memes, I guess, that I found on Google. And these can apply to a few different people, right? I wanted to make sure to find some different perspectives. So one person said, ghosting is the rudest and most cowardly thing ever. Be an adult. Be honest. That's what it says, okay?
Oh, wow. That sounds like an adult wrote that.
Right? I mean, that's deep. They're clearly feeling some type of way. So one person says, I love ghosting when I'm done with the relationship. No breakup, no goodbye. I'm just gone.
Okay.
Right?
See, the intent behind it changes it. That person right there.
Woo! You right. I'm with
That's
you.
interesting.
I'm with you because that sounds like me. Anyway. I'll explain later.
I ain't like her, by the way.
I know. Look, y'all can hear the passion over here. Okay, so the last one I found that I thought was pretty good was, I usually become a ghost to those who no longer deserve my time. I've never seen a point in explaining my absence to anyone who failed to appreciate my presence. You don't owe any explanations to those who hurt you.
Crazy what I'm only doing.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. Can you ever be in real, authentic, and love relationship and never be vulnerable enough to be hurt?
Never, ever, ever. You're always at risk of getting hurt.
I think there's again a spectrum. So, like, did you intentionally steal out my house? I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? No. But if we have a difference of, I wouldn't have approached that way, or I would have been more of a writer, or I would have been more available to you. I do going through that. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference of how we would have went about something.
I hear you completely. Erica, I hear you, but the intent behind that, I don't know. When I was hearing that from Brittany, it sounded like a deeper hurt. It seemed like something that wasn't a deep relationship with years built in. It seems like a trial period of something. This person hurt you just like on a basic level of law. Oh, we don't do this type of thing. I don't owe you an explanation. I don't owe you a reason for why I'm not communicating with you anymore. But I hear what you're saying. I feel like that was saying something deeper, though.
Okay. I'm with that.
I want to hear from the ghoster, right? So I think it's great to start with the perspective of the ghoster and why you even feel obligated to ghost someone in the first place. Not that it's always the same reason. And again, I'm thinking about myself because it's never the same reason, but it's always the same result for different reasons. So this article just gives us a quick explanation. So a ghoster, there goes our terms again, is someone who ends a relationship suddenly without explanation or any further communication. So they nipped it in the bud as well. So this person gave their reasoning, I guess, or their explanation of what ghosting is in their own terms. And it said, for me, if someone is just messaging online and then stops, or if two people go on a couple of dates and one stops communicating, then this isn't considered ghosting. It's just the way that it is. That's them. That's what they say, right? And then they say, however, if two people have been out on at least 3 dates now, they go from 2 to 3.
It's a very fine line.
Yeah. So, and they say, so, that gives time to start bonding. And one of them has decided that they don't want to go on another date and just stops communicating. Then this person would consider that ghosting. Okay. So then they move on and they're giving us reasons as, why people ghost. And one reason is they didn't believe that they were in a relationship and therefore didn't owe the person an explanation. That's one reason. The next reason, they think that avoiding a difficult conversation is better for them than doing the decent thing and having a conversation about ending it. Now, I feel some type of way about that, but anyway, I'm going to keep going. Then the next one is that they think that this method will help the other person move on.
Which I feel like it never does.
Because never does. Depending on the person.
Not necessarily never, but in the beginning, if you're the ghostee, my new favorite term now.
Right.
If you're the ghostee and if you feel blindsided by this and you don't see this coming, I feel like being ghosted just makes the situation worse rather than the person being like, hey, I'm going to have a conversation with you. This is what it is. They can be like, oh, okay, cool. Now that I've heard your thoughts on this, now I can react or not react, but now I can have a response to this decision and be a part of this rather than like, oh, this thing was done to me. I have questions about it or I don't understand. Because who knows where they are in their headspace, And so if they get nothing to respond to, then I feel like that just fuels them to push on and be like, hey, where are you? You haven't responded. Like the naggy things that I personally hate.
Right. And then you just keep ghosting them. So, Erica.
Yes.
Have you ever ghosted anyone?
Oh, absolutely.
What's the story of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Using it as a tool. So, in my life, because of my job and that I work at institutions, if you know my full name, you can Google me, and you know where I work, where my office is, you know my last presentation, where I'm going to be on Wednesday, potentially. I mean, all of it.
Wow.
And that's very vulnerable to me when I'm online dating, and I don't really know the character of somebody. So I have ghosted people that, said slick shit like, oh, okay, you're 30 and you have multiple degrees and you cute and you got your own stuff, so you must be a crazy bitch, huh? Okay, well, I can't have that conversation, so I'm gonna go to you. Because I've had experiences where men have shown up at my office, sitting in my office when I got up.
Oh, no.
Talk about it.
I've had men threaten me via my work email, like whatever freaky deaky thing I did over the weekend, talking about I'm gonna let them job know and this, that, and the other. So
whoa.
I think male fragility and toxic masculinity and rape culture and women not being able to enjoy sex and speak about it is still being used as a weapon against women who engage in those type of relationships. And so when I have rejected men, I have had very negative experiences. I was just telling Brittany recently, I was called out that you can look at the text thread. 15 minutes before we got into it, he's talking about you fine, your hair is long, you look good, you got to survive, X, Y, Z. Then he ends on a rant because he didn't like what I had to say about him questioning why I don't have any children. He goes on a rant, and then he ends with calling me a fat, ugly bitch.
Wow.
So when I think about ghosting, like I don't participate in that. So I think it's just another spectrum. I think a lot of times, like some of the definitions that you read off, Brittany, were like from a place of hurt, which I totally can understand. If you went on some good dates, or you're trying to find the one, and you're putting yourself out there, and then somebody can't even tell you why they don't want to go on a date with you again, I can understand wanting. I definitely can understand wanting more out of that. But I think to just blanket statement face people, well, be an adult and have a conversation. Being an adult with a non-adult.
Yeah.
Put myself in vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like there's more to it than that. And
Right.
I would be very interested from a male perspective, but I think for women, I'm always a little bit more gracious because I feel like it's a safety thing. How many of us have been in the mall and had somebody try to ask us, like, how's your day, queen? He's like, it's good, thank you. And then they're following you.
Right.
You gotta make
Girl.
it. It's like, okay, but I said hello, and I said good day.
Right.
Sir.
Yeah.
I said good day.
You're clenching your purse walking through the mall, hoping to God that some stranger will at least call police if he jumps on you. I mean,
Right.
people think it's not that extreme, but the way it escalates so quickly,
Yeah.
a man following you and saying you ugly bitch anyway, is very disheartening and scary.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have ghosted people. Typically, I ghost folks when I feel like the vibe has shifted, or I see like something of their character. And I'm talking specifically about dating.
Right.
I'm not always proud of myself when I ghost people on OfferUp. Like I said, I was that makes me
I have to let them know now.
Yeah, it makes me feel petty. Like, that's so weird for me just to say I found
That's rude. Now that's rude. You messing with somebody's money.
Why do I want to put that? Yeah, but why do I want to put that on me too? Like that's so. If my argument is I use ghosting as a tool when I feel unsafe, then it doesn't make sense to use it when there's no risk involved. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's ways in which people use it as an excuse.
Yeah. And I like that because for you the primary thing is safety. And that's awesome.
Correct.
Right. And as a woman, of course I identify with that and I agree with that and I relate to that. And especially as a Black woman because we are our own security. Right. To be honest, you know. So I love that. Now Jamal, you said yes as well. You've ghosted someone. So I'm ready to hear your story. Let's hear that.
Yeah, I've ghosted before, but I'm in line with, I ask a lot of questions because we're all around the same age. I'm 30, but I look at ghosting for, my reference to is when you're lightly dating someone, and most of the time I live in LA, and I find that when someone says someone ghosted them, it's usually someone that they were just having a sexual relationship with, sometimes just once or maybe a few times, and no communication outside of a booty call. So when those things ghost, I'm like, yeah, but I never had any other conversation outside of when are we hooking up today?
Okay.
How much can I or you be mad if I don't respond to text when it's like, yo, what time you coming over? If I don't want to come over, nor if I want to, I don't owe you the explanation of why I don't want to have sex with you any longer. And so that's the purpose of ghosting that I hear a lot in LA. Is usually with sexual relationships that doesn't have any more substance. Like we're dating and we had coffee and dinner together. We have mutual friends. Like usually it's not that deep. Usually it's people who are lightly dating and fucking, and then they don't have that fuck anymore, and that person then explains to them why. And to that, I think that it is kind of, for my sensibility, I don't care. But I do get why other people care, because I do think that even if you are having a casual sexual relationship with someone, I do think after a certain amount of time, you do owe someone to just, hey, I'm not interested anymore. The thing is, it's a double-edged sword, because if you tell someone they're not interested anymore, you are doing the adult thing of saying that, sometimes that can put people into the place where Erica's talking about someone being aggressive or making you feel like they should owe you, that you owe them your body still because you gave it up before, or all of a sudden you're this or that. And so sometimes I think ghosting is safe for everybody, because then you don't have to owe someone an explanation or be forced to owe someone an explanation that you don't. And sometimes telling people, hey, I'm moving to the left, actually starts the conversation in a whole other pattern of things with the person that you don't want to be in the first place. And usually for me, when I've ghosted, it's been a sexual relationship where it's like, oh yeah, this was all just sex from the get-go. I don't owe you a text back. I don't owe you a phone call back. I don't owe you anything back. And I think we do need to clarify for our listeners too that we have been speaking about the heteronormative. I identify as a bisexual guy, and me with men, I feel the same pressure that women feel sometimes, where things does get aggressive. I'm a smaller guy. I'm 140 pounds, 5'8". I'm slim. And
all right. Check it for you.
Especially on apps, if I'm not interested, interested. One time somebody called me a nigger. A white man called me a nigger because I said I wasn't interested.
No.
Oh, he getting shot.
Yeah.
He getting shot.
You know what I mean?
I'm about to find you.
And then someone else, like a month ago, when I said I wasn't interested, and listen, I don't know you. This is an app, a dating app. I don't know you. I don't have to respond to you if I'm not interested actually. And then the whole thing was, oh, is it because I'm white? I'm like, now I'm definitely not interested because you made it about your race in reference to me as a black person when I never said that.
Right.
So that shows your insecurity. So I think it depends on the situation where ghosting is appropriate or not.
Word.
Can I propose another avenue of ghosting? How many of us have gone to job interviews and never heard back?
Is that really considered ghosting? Wait. But is that really considered ghosting, or is that just a norm?
I feel like that's unprofessional on their end.
Norm?
It shouldn't be a norm. If I go to you for a job, like clearly I want to know if I got it, but I also want to know if I didn't get it so that I can keep going in my search.
Yeah.
Or if I should be like, all right, let me go get my stuff together to like prepare more for this current job that I sought out. Yeah, I think it's rude and unprofessional on the part of the
This
employer.
is what I will say. More and more people are getting ghosted in job interviews. And I think this is indicative of society, of like, we don't know how to handle rejection nor give rejection. And the reason why I put that out there is because I don't think that that's standard professional practice. I think that you should at least get an automatic letter that lets you know, we moved in a different direction, thank you for your application, right?
Yeah.
But we're not even doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Where it used to be, where you could call the employer if you got an interview and you did the job, it was standard professional practice for you to be told by your career service to call them and say, would you be willing to give me some offline feedback so that I can be better in the next space? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't even call you back.
That's real.
I was just thinking about all the ways that ghosting appears that we don't call it ghosting.
Yeah.
Right? And is there a different connotation, a different feeling, a different connectiveness to relational ghosting than going for a job or putting something on offer up? And are we starting to get numb to that we can't connect anymore to look at each other and say no?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like a lack of ability to express boundary and for people to respect other people's boundaries.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that goes to what you and I were talking about before, Erica, and the fact that this term ghosting is actually not a new action. We're just throwing a term on it. We just gave it a word, because not hearing from a job, that's not uncommon. And with me being a person who's actually looking for work right now, like, that's not uncommon. There's a bunch of jobs I'm applying for. Some people I hear back from, some people I don't. It just depends on whoever I hear back from. From my experience, just depends on the type of office that I'm actually applying to work for, right? But to kind of double back though with what Jamal was saying, with ghosting and dating and even another side of, or a different aspect of it, I guess. For me, I'll just be totally honest. Like I said before, nobody's safe when it comes to being ghosted. But here's what I do. Cause I've been ghosted before, and I can't feel some type of way about it because I do it. And what I come up in my mind is they must not be that invested in me. They must not think that I'm worth the explanation. And guess what?
But Brittany, you do the work.
But but guess what? But Erica, guess what? Because of that, because I do the work and because I have the confidence, that's their loss, not mine.
That's my point. But that's my point though. Like when I talk about tool or weapons, if you're somebody who doesn't do the work or you're not self-aware of yourself and you're participating in this online dating world or you're participating in this ghosting thing, I meet a lot of folks that come to meet with me that are broken off of somebody just not responding. I mean, they are being stalking someone. I mean, they are close to a criminal mind episode.
Mandisa's freaking out.
Closer.
So that's a different issue.
Right.
I'm dead serious because, or if you've seen the network series too, like, I mean, they think they deserve closure. And that's a whole other narrative. My professional opinion, I think the way as a society we think about boundaries. So, for example, most of the time when you say, hey, do you want to come to this party? And you respond, no, thank you. Somebody will stare at you and be like, why? Like, you need to give me an explanation. We don't allow boundaries to be complete answers. We think we are owed that. And in narrative or in memes, we'll say no is a complete answer or I don't have to explain myself. But in reality or in practice, there's not a whole lot of spaces that allow for that.
Yeah, but we need to allow it though. But we need to allow it though because here's my thing. There's been people that I've been in, maybe not a relationship with, but I've been in a romantic type of friendship or whatever with, right? You call it what you want to call it. And there's also been people that I've been in I've had friendships with, strictly platonic, but I have the same conversation with everybody. I let everybody know I'm the ghosting queen. If you fuck up, you at risk, right? There's also been people who I've legitimately oh, and some people have had the same conversation with more than once, even though I hate repeating myself because I'm not a broken record. There's also people who have had there's also people who have had the conversation with us, said, listen, being your friend or being a little bit more than your friend has become a chore. It is no longer fun because of these reasons, because you do this, because you do that, because I'm trying to just live my best life and you are in the way of that, right? And then I get people to say, either say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna change, or they just completely ignore me and they keep doing the same shit. Well, guess what? I've warned you. You keep doing the same shit, you'll never hear from me again. I've told you I'm the ghosting queen. I've told you you've effed up.
But warning somebody and having that conversation and then removing yourself from toxicity, to me, is not the same thing as ghosting.
Really?
Because you've had that conversation of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to keep having that conversation of hurt with you. You're not showing me any different. I am going to walk away with my head up high, and I will not stay in unhealthiness. That, to me, is not the same thing. I'm going to be real with you, Brittany. Like, you put out as a disclaimer, a PSA, like, I'm the ghosting queen, right? And I believe you. My mom said when people tell you who they are, believe them. But you matter to me. Your talent to matter to me. So if I offend or hurt you, and there is no conversation in that, I think for me, I will always be left wondering what happened and how could, if I had known, could I have fixed it?
But here's the thing.
Ability of relationship, you know what I mean? Because when we walk away from explaining, I don't think explaining always has to have a negative connotation. And again, I agree with you, Brittany, on the value of the relationship. And are we even there to have that conversation, right? And you and I, Brittany, we talk about some real deep, real shit. And we don't always agree, right?
True.
So I would always be wondering, like, damn, did I go too far? You know what I'm saying? With my optimism and my
good. I'm just kidding.
Or like, did I miss the environment of the conversation? That was safe? And it may or may not. So this is what I'll say about the definitions that you gave previously, right? Is that, I think the weaponizing is when you do that to somebody and there's no explanation and that person develops a complex over no shit. Like, what if that wasn't about them? It's because I have person's journals every day. So if I keep calling you and you don't call me back, eventually I'm going to get it. But I'm going to be wondering, like, damn, what time?
Here's what I'm hearing, which I think is super dope. Is like, I think, Brittany, you're very clear, it seems like, when you ghost people. It seems like, I agree with Eric.
Not every time.
Like, people know that about you. Like, they know, like, oh, if you fuck up, Brittany ain't gonna fuck with you no more. And even the ones who don't know that, and that happens, they might want to reach out and but people will move on. But I think ghosting is when it's a surprise to the other person on the other line. The person who's ghosting knows that they're doing it. It's a pretty intentional action that, and so what I mean to say is that when someone is ghosted on, it's the shock. It's like, oh, we were just talking yesterday and had a great conversation. The next day, you just disappeared. It's like literally just a disappearance of someone.
Yeah.
So there's many levels to it, but like for me, like I don't ghost often. It's not like a part of my lifestyle. It's not, which is why I wanted to learn so much on this podcast today, because people know who I am. They know that people don't think that they're my friend if they're not. That's pretty clear. You know who Jamal's people are. People know where they stand with me, because it's like a daily thing. Like I leave no one to be surprised by how I feel about them. And so the ghosting thing, as I relate to it, is usually just involved with sex. But like in life, it's what you're saying, Brittany. I feel like people know who you are, and like it's pretty clear that you don't take shit. So like, do you actually ghost?
I do, and this is why I actually ghost. Because, so going back to me First of all, not everybody will get an explanation. I'm literally like just ghosted somebody like a week or so ago.
And it was all kind of accidental in the sense of, eventually I stopped talking to this person by accident. My phone was acting super weird. But I kind of realized how peaceful it was not to be involved with somebody else's shit, this particular person's shit. Also, I realized how peaceful it was not to have to continue the, good morning text and all the other stuff that, I just wasn't invested. So it just naturally happened that way. And to be honest, this person wasn't sending me my good morning text either. So I think it was honestly a mutual ghosting, which I think happens naturally.
But even for the people that I give the explanation to ahead of time, they do some fuck shit, and I'm just like, I no longer respond to them any type of way they try to reach out to me, and they continue to reach out to me. One friend, she's super effed up, right? Mm-hmm. And she kept texting me to hang out, whatever. I never responded. And I'm not the person to block somebody because that's even too much energy for me, right? I just won't respond. And yeah, that's just too much to like scroll down, all that stuff. So it was maybe like 2 or 3 months later, and she texted me. She goes, I don't know what I did, but I miss you and I love you. Whatever she said. Asked me if I responded to that.
I love you.
Yeah, basically. But asked me if I responded to that. I did not respond to that at all. So for me, that's still considered ghosting. If I do not respond to any type of communication that you seek out, for me, that's ghosting. And that's how I'm going to use it as a tool. And actually, in this case, it could be a tool or a weapon, whatever it is. But guess what? I'm living my best life without your drama, without your fuck shit.
It's interesting that you read the messages that she sends, though.
I mean, because I'm in the habit of reading it. I'm sorry. I'm just in the habit of reading my messages. But here's my thing.
You want to ghost, but you want her to still be present.
No, it's not that I want. No, it's you're so funny.
If you text me, you don't get it mad at and know you blocked.
Well, first of all, y'all get on my nerves. It's not that I want the person to still be present. I just make it a count. I make it a point to, I'm just in the habit of reading my messages or reading whatever that comes my way because I'm just in that habit of doing so, right? But let's say she sent something and, it was like she may have really needed help. I'll show up for anybody because that's just me. That's just my heart. But the problem that I had with that message was she said that she did not know what she did, but she knew what she did because I've told you what you did and I've tried to talk to you about what you did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what if she really didn't though? Like, I'm smart, but sometimes I can be dingy. And I'm not.
And guess what? But guess what, Erica? I don't have the energy for that. I don't. I'm not gonna lie. Like, not all the time, not consistently.
That's what you need to do.
But that's I don't have the energy for that either. I want to get Mandisa in this conversation because she's been sitting here grinning the whole time, y'all.
I've been grinning,
she
holding
is
up
grinning.
my 3 little fingers.
Yeah, because she needs to get in on this.
But it's so informative just listening, and I've been trying to categorize what I think are umbrellas under ghosting. And it started with 3, but now I guess I have to throw a 4th finger up. So I feel like there's an umbrella of rejection / criticism. I feel like as a society we are taught how to give criticism, but very few people are taught how to receive constructive criticism and how to deal with rejection. I'm mostly thinking of like white males with this, right? But that applies to anybody. The second umbrella I've come up with, going back to mostly what you were talking about, Erica, is vulnerability / safety / accessibility. How in this day and age, people think just because they have your email or your phone number that allows them access to you at any time of day or night, which it does not.
Amen.
The third pillar or umbrella is privilege, which I think kind of ties back into rejection and criticism, and how some people who are of a certain privilege don't respond well at all to rejection or criticism, or they think because that having an explanation as to why something was done to them, that they are privileged to that, or that they are
entitled to that.
Entitled, that's the word.
Ooh.
And then the fourth, the bonus pillar is teaching a lesson / informing. Like when someone wrongs us, is it, and this is, I think, totally situational, is it up to us to take the time and energy to teach that person a lesson on why they wronged us, or why we choose not to continue in whatever relationship with them? Or is it like, you know what? This is not my job to teach you this life lesson. Maybe the next person will, or maybe you just will learn on your own.
Mm.
Those are my 4 fingers.
Yeah.
I'm putting them down now.
I really love what you said about it's my job to teach you this lesson, because I think that goes back to standards and boundary and where I'm going, or goals, right? Because I think we get more messages that keep us in toxicity relationships and toxic relationships than we do messages that say that we're allowed to walk away. Like, you might be a good man, you might have an education, you might come from a good family, but you don't want the same things I do.
Right.
You don't want a baby. You don't want marriage. You don't want to spend the holidays with each other's families. So why am I here?
Right.
And again, because we don't have the tools, how can we, what is available to us besides ghosting?
Besides ghosting?
I think because we don't always have the tools, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ghosting becomes the default.
Yeah.
You simply said no, with no explanation and no additional pain even.
Yeah. So that's actually a good segue into another article that I found that is basically telling us 15 texts we can send instead of ghosting.
Let's hear.
Okay, I'm ready.
This is all so new to me.
Right?
Really good. I'm excited.
Okay, and again, disclaimer for me, I don't be having energy for this, but anyway. So number 1 is, hey, I think you're great, but I don't really see this progressing in the future. Okay?
Boom.
Talk like that.
Who talk like that?
Did I?
Oops.
We love y'all, baby.
Out loud.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, number 2. I'm gonna try to go through these pretty fast. So number 2, thanks for going out with me recently. I thought a lot about it and just don't think we're compatible. It's nothing personal, but thought I should let you know. All right.
It's super casual.
That is.
Wait for all the days you can come up with.
Right. I'm gonna give you the space. I'm gonna give you that space. Okay. Number 3. Hey, last night was a lot of fun! ! I think I should be upfront with you and let you know that I'm not looking for anything serious right now. I hope you understand.
That's the classic one. I feel like
I'm not looking for anything serious.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, I'm just keeping it casual.
That's just like, hit me up tomorrow and ask me about the weather. They don't say, don't hit me up again.
That's what Dustin be doing. That's Dustin.
Justin? Don't be scrolling through that app now. Don't be scrolling through that app while you be talking. Yeah, I feel like that one is kind of open-ended, really. Right. I feel like that one doesn't close anything down. You can say, I'm not looking for anything serious. And I can say, oh, me neither. But you can still come over at 4 a.m. Maybe not 4. That's a little early. That's a little late. That's a little late. For work. I'm just
you
kidding.
Better be dying.
Right.
Hit me up at 4.
Right. True. Number 4. I had a great time with you, but honestly, don't think I'm feeling this between us, and don't have interest in going out again. Damn.
Boom.
That one's closed.
Jamal.
Yeah.
Jamal.
Jamal.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Copy and paste.
You find one that's
just right. Just wait. Okay, I'm going through some personal stuff right now and don't think it's a good time for me to be dating anyone. I hope you understand. That could be a lie.
Liar.
That's very lying. Yeah.
I'm going through personal stuff every day.
That's either, here's my thing with that one. That's either lying or that's very self-aware. Right? That could be you being so aware that you do have a lot of shit going on.
Right.
So let's end that there.
Passive aggressive as fuck to me.
It just depends. Ow! I tried.
Like, I'm in school and work is picking up, and I just realized I'm too busy for this.
Yeah.
You know, good luck to you. Wow.
Right.
I'm actually going on a date the next day with somebody else.
I tried, y'all. I tried. So the next one. Sorry, I don't think I'd like to see you again. It's nothing personal. Just not feeling it. Hope you understand.
I wish they wouldn't have said sorry in the beginning.
Right. Sorry, not sorry, but...
Why be sorry about it?
Look,
you
sorry.
don't have to be sorry for not feeling somebody. There's
That's
like
right.
billions
That's true.
of people on this planet.
But you know that who that's for? Becky.
You are not into you.
Right. That's for Becky. But anyway, next one. So, hi, insert name here. I think you're great, but more so in a friend way. See you around soon.
In place of that, I just wish the person would just text, you've been friend zoned.
We need to article from UrbanDictionary.com or something.
I know, right? I know.
Let me just say this.
I think it's how I'm reading it.
Biracialness, I would just say two things. One, I've been and or received some of these, so I don't think that they're all.
Girl.
I have received some of these, so
Right.
I think that that's interesting.
So somebody's copying and pasting. I'm just kidding. So the next one, y'all would like this one. This is still not Urban Dictionary like, but anyway. The next one is, you're the worst. You sad excuse of a flesh bag.
Wow.
I know. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of been, maybe not, I haven't called nobody a flesh bag, but I called somebody thirsty and a little bitch. But anyway. But then that was kind of a joke. They were like, okay, don't use this one. But anyway, I'm sure people have. So the next one is, I realized some things about myself lately that makes me think that I shouldn't be dating someone right now. I'm sorry if I led you on in any way and wish you the best. That was
so
pretty
kind.
decent. Yeah. That was pretty good. That's kind of like one of the ones before.
I wish this podcast had a camera so y'all can see my face.
Take a picture.
Side-eyeing right now.
Jamal's like, ew, no. Okay, so the next one is, if I can be honest, I like that opening. If I can be honest, I met someone else recently. I think you're awesome and attractive, but I am going to spend my time focusing on other things right now.
Like that other person.
So that one, I'm going to say this. I would actually appreciate that because I have been ghosted before, but I'm that girl who is like, I'll call you and be like, okay, so what's going on for real? And when I've done that, I've had people be honest and say, well, I've been talking to this girl before, or I'm talking to this person and been spending more time with them. Mm-hmm. So I will actually appreciate that.
Where it's when one is prompted to have the conversation, it's like, okay, do you own up and just be like, okay, this is what it is and be real about it?
Right.
Or do you play the avoidance game?
And just not pick up. Right.
I just think that in the world of dating, especially because most people are doing it online these days, you have to expect that you're going to ghost someone at some point and you will be ghosted at some point. That's the whole thing with the online dating and seeing people. Like, you just need to have some other friends who can say, hey, that person wasn't meant for you anyway. Or someone to say, hey, why are you tripping? Like, they don't want to be with you. Why are you tripping off somebody that doesn't want to be with you?
Right.
I think we really need, because, like, you're going to ghost and you're going to be ghosted. And I don't think it's the responsibility of the ghoster or the ghostee for the ghostee to need an explanation, and for two, the ghoster to feel like they need to give an explanation. I think it goes both ways. If you hit me up after I ghosted you, I'm like, you're harassing me now because I clearly am ignoring you.
Right.
And like now, like you're not letting me ignore you. And like that's rude, and I should call the cops and get a restraining order. And I don't know how far you want to go.
Right.
Let me be a ghost. I'm not here no more.
Okay, right.
But I think that's interesting that you said that, like, and like joking, right? But like in getting a restraining order or seeking support or services, that's what I was talking about or alluding to in terms of like just thinking that or demanding that you need closure or demanding that somebody come and talk to you about why it's not working out or why they're ghosting you or they're aspect of her, or you're having to manage that. And I would say on college campuses, one way, some of the ways that manifests is in one partner saying that they will hurt themselves if you don't call them. Another way is by actually following them. The third way is by harassing them through mutual friends. And I'm not talking about, people talking about you or subtweeting you. I'm talking about following someone to class and being like, you're just a stupid thought.
Wow.
I'm talking about, and I'm talking at the rate that this happens. I think that's one thing that I would like to explain to folks. Like, when we see these articles or we see these news, things, et cetera, we think that's a one-off thing. Like, what's going on with that community that would happen, right?
Yeah.
And what I would like to propose is that it's a norm. That the entitlement to somebody else's body, time, space is so rapid because we do not allow for boundaries and conversation that we are resulting to violence and very violent situations very quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you. That the show on Netflix,
exactly.
You. Even though it
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even though it didn't have much to do with ghosting, but that's still a classic result of, just how left things can go and how people's minds, exactly, how people's minds can just go crazy. But I also want to make another disclaimer too, that I feel like the conversation that we're talking about has a lot to do with relationships or friendships that could really be in the beginning-ish stages, right? Because especially when we think about absolutely needing an explanation, like if you're with somebody for 2 or 3 years, y'all living together, y'all supposed to be getting married, and then that person just never shows up again.
Like I definitely want a reason.
I would want a goddamn reason for that.
I want a reason.
You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I get that.
Like that's different.
Yeah, I get that. But like in terms of just needing an explanation and brain just going crazy or whatever, and the semi-beginning stages, or we only been together for a few months, or only been talking for a little bit, or actually, if y'all have really established the fact that, you are legitimately in what we call a situationship. And somebody could just be gone because you're not invested. A situationship is the acts of a relationship without actually claiming that person as your significant other in that way. So, which means that gives that person almost like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? I'm like an expert at this too, y'all. Yeah, which means that if, that person or those other people, whoever, still have the ability to see other people, and you still have a high chance of that person leaving. Huh?
So are they in an open relationship or no?
No, because you would have to establish an open relationship. But it's basically, I would say this. I would use this definition, and we can talk about situationships on another episode. But I would say this. My definition of a situationship is an open relationship without the conversation of being in a relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so that person,
open relationship
without a conversation of being in a relationship.
About the situationships that are like, look, I don't want you to sleep with nobody else. Like, we dated. Even the ones that say I love you.
That's not a situationship. That's some fuck shit. I mean, I'm just saying, no disrespect to anybody out there. Everybody's situation and partnership is they're each of their own, right? But for me, that's some fuck shit. If we are claiming each other and saying that we are in a relationship, you gonna know everybody, because guess what? If you fuck up,
my people gonna
know, right? If I go missing, I'll say this: if I go missing, motherfuckers gonna know. Gonna know who to go to. I'm just saying, they gonna know who to go to. So you gotta know everybody if we in that type of shit. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother episode, y'all. That's a whole nother episode. So we're going to say bye because Erica has to go. Yes. But Erica, thank you so much. I love you. Thank you.
It's been all the way real. I cannot wait to hear the depth of this conversation.
Yes.
I'm hoping to be engaged in these conversations further, but this is too good.
This is actually really good. Thanks, Queen.
All right, I'll check in with y'all later.
Okay. Bye, babe.
Good night. Bye. Thank you.
Okay, so this could be ghosting part 1 or something because this was really good. I feel like there's still so much we can get into. We are going to end the show now and just kind of let the audience and the listeners soak in the things that we've said so far. You guys reach out to us via Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is Living Millennial Podcast and Instagram is Living Millennial PC. Hit us up. Let us know what your stories are. DM us, comment, whatever you'd like. Let us know what your experiences have been, what your perspectives are. We definitely want to make sure we engage you all in the conversation.
Indeed. And if you can't articulate your thoughts or words, send us a meme. Send us some sort of visual message. I say that mostly for people like me. I'm like, words are hard.
We want the memes. Send us the memes. And we still want dirty pictures. I still have not received any dirty pictures since the second episode. But
I'm learning a lot about ghosting. There's so many different layers. I didn't know that people took ghosting to like the deep. It's always seemed so surface to me. So it's very interesting. I'm so interested in this thing in ways that I don't know if I or society should be, but
human behavior.
So fascinating.
Yeah. In closing, I'll say this. This is what I'll say. I will say that ghosting is, because, I feel a certain type of way about it. I don't want to be disrespectful to people's feelings, but I think it's really interesting what Erica was saying about college kids in regards to ghosting, because in the world of social media and how those things are activated, because ghosting in college, bullying in college, like, it can be a form of bullying as well, and I think that's also something that's interesting to recognize, because I'm 30, I'm out of college. Social media wasn't like it is today.
Right.
Ghosting wasn't a label when I was back in school, and I didn't have someone on 3 different social media platforms. And so, while me being 30 and laughing at the effects of ghosting, I also want to be respectful to the kids who are coming up in a different media and social media platform that does make all of these things different in a way. So, that's what I'll leave with thinking about tonight.
Right. We got to teach the kids about rejection and how to do their taxes.
Taxes and confidence. Sure. Yes, for sure. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, this is Living Millennial.
We are living millennials. Oh, ba 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 ba.
Be sure to subscribe to our show, follow us on IG, and tell us what you think.